Hi everyone. I just laid out 5 ways in which we can talk about evaluating the vocal quality of a speaker's voice. I just wanted to jump in and express how each of these qualities and more can express themselves in nervous public speakers in a few ways. I've seen some patterns of nervous expressions over the years that I'd like to talk about in the ways that we evaluate vocal quality. So first, with intonation, what can often happen with intonation is that a speaker who wants to hide, who is nervous as a public speaker, nervous in front of a room or nervous in front of a camera, can adopt a kind of monotone style and a monotone facial expression where it's just a blank stare and a very monotone, lack of intonation, tonal delivery that can become very repetitive over time. And it just doesn't look like the speaker is enjoying themselves in front of the room. And if the speaker doesn't have passion about their subject, the audience is very unlikely to have passion about the subject the speaker is talking about. The second way that nervousness can manifest itself in your speaking voice is with volume. And what happens with nervous speakers in terms of volume is that their volume gets really, really soft and it becomes very hard to hear what the speaker is saying. And I think in terms of, if we think about it, a nervous speaker as an anxious speaker, a nervous speaker as a speaker who wants a speech to be over with as quickly as possible, or a speaker who wants to avoid the audience's negative reaction potentially if they fear rejection, then speaking very softly is a way to hide, even if you're speaking in front of a room or in front of a camera. The third way is fluidity, and this one is pretty simple, is that nervous speakers get lost in their notes a lot. They tend to look down at their notes a lot. They may not be very comfortable with the material they're talking about, and so the presence of ums and ahs and other kinds of verbal pauses and vocal pauses become evident throughout the speech and becomes distracting to both the speaker and to the audience as well. Another way that we can talk about nervous manifestations in vocal delivery is speed. Now, this is my worst one. If I feel nervous, I often speak way too quickly for the audience to follow, and you can understand how other speakers would do the same. A speech you time at home before you step in front of the camera for the course and upload it to our YouTube channel may be 6 minutes long. But if you're not accounting for the fact that maybe you're nervous in front of the camera, then you could shave 30, 45 seconds just from being nervous. And so the time when you're not nervous doesn't really apply to the time when you're speaking in front of the camera and you are nervous. And so it's important to get a good range when you're trying to time your speech so you understand what the lower limit of speaking time is and a higher limit depending on how nervous you feel during the speech. And of course, finally, your nerves can influence the way your nonverbals communicate something to the audience. And so I've had speakers over the years who get a kind of happy feet and they'll rock back and forth or kind of do an unpredictable dance. Others get more of a life raft effect where they'll be speaking in front of a podium and grab the podium for dear life and not move. And it often kind of communicates a robotic, a very fixed, rigid, robotic style of fearfulness towards the audience. Now, the trick to all these, to me, is always practice. Is always getting very comfortable in front of your notes and then watching yourself, taping yourself and watching yourself and seeing whether you do any of these patterns that I've noticed over the years. Perhaps you don't do any of them. Perhaps there are things that you feel like you're doing that aren't natural to you or to the perceptions of the audience, that watching yourself on tape can really help, and practicing and being comfortable with your materials can really help.